For thousands of years, humans looked at the Great Pyramid of Giza and saw a geometrically simple shape, a perfect four-sided monument. Generations of explorers, conquerors, and scholars measured its angles and mapped its base. None of them recorded any anomaly in its shape. When you stand directly in front of these weathered limestone blocks, the scale is completely overwhelming. Your eyes tell you exactly what you're looking at, a solid, continuous wall of stone. The sheer magnitude of the monument left little room for doubt. It was easy to conclude every structural detail had already been documented. But human perception is tied entirely to where we stand. In the 20th century, we finally left the desert sand and took to the sky. During a routine flight in 1940, a British Air Force pilot named P. Groves flew directly over the Giza complex. Looking down, he noticed a shadow that didn't align with the flat surface. From high above the desert floor, under specific angles of sunlight, the normally flat faces of the Great Pyramid actually appear to bend inward. There is a distinct vertical indentation splitting each of the four main faces straight down the middle. The Great Pyramid is an 8-sided structure, a massive, deliberate architectural feature sat out in the open, completely undetected by the very people living next to it for over 4 millennia. How do you hide a structural detail this massive on the most scrutinized building on Earth? And why would the original engineers design it this way to begin with? The indentation on each face is incredibly subtle. The inward bend measures less than a single degree. This overhead diagram maps the base's precise geometry, showing the faces curving inward from a perfectly straight baseline. Shifting to a ground-level perspective, human eyes physically cannot perceive this minute curve without an aerial reference. To break the optical illusion from the ground, you need a highly specific environmental trigger. The concavity is so slight that it only casts a visible shadow during the brief windows of the spring and autumn equinoxes. Because this lighting effect relies on exact mathematical and astronomical alignment, it rules out natural erosion. This was an intentional blueprint. Executing this design in 2560 BCE required staggering precision. The builders achieved sub-degree accuracy without modern surveying equipment. There are 2 leading theories for why they went to such extreme lengths. The first is practical engineering. This diagram illustrates the load distribution of the outer casing stones. By incorporating a slight inward slope, the engineers created a structural countermeasure, using gravity to keep those massive blocks from slipping outward. The second theory points to something more abstract, cosmic alignment. If we track the sun's trajectory in this model across the sky, the bisecting shadow suddenly appears exactly on the equinox. The builders may have designed the faces specifically to function as a temporal marker. Without the original architectural blueprints, both the structural and symbolic theories hold weight. The primary motive remains unsolved. Today, we have satellite imaging and advanced aerial photography confirming the 8 sides, yet the true intent behind them still eludes us. We now hold an omniscient, top-down understanding of the site, but think about the millions of visitors who travel there each year. If you stand at the base today, knowing full well about the concavity, you still physically cannot perceive the indented faces from the dirt. The physical geometry of the object hasn't changed. Our capacity to comprehend it is entirely dictated by where we stand. For 4 millennia, people stared directly at a massive physical reality and missed it because they lacked the proper angle to see it. If the most heavily scrutinized building on Earth hid a structural secret this large in plain sight, it forces a question. What other truths are we currently failing to observe, simply because we are standing in the wrong place?